everybody, Rat Dog here, and welcome back. Well, I should say welcome back to me, because it's been like 9 months since I posted it. Last time I posted was before the apocalypse hit. So, a lot of things has been going on in 2020. It's been a pretty crappy year, except for my fish tank. My fish tank's been doing good. It's had its issues. As you know, on my last video, when I scaped it, I had a lot of dry rock that I put in there and a few live pieces of rock. Well, the tank had a major algae issue. In fact, if you see right there, I still got some algae floating around. I'm not too worried about it because the tank looks pretty good right now. But it got to the point where I was calling this tank Chewbacca. It was pretty bad. I'll try to throw some pictures in here and show you what it looked like, but that lasted several months. In fact, at one point when I was doing a water change, I took every single rock out of this tank and scrubbed it with a toothbrush and put it back in there, and I was going to do massive water changes and try to get everything back to normal. But then the wife had some ailment problems and she landed in the hospital, and like I said, 2020 has not been that good of a year between the pandemic going and getting laid off of work a couple of different times and the Dodgers winning the World Series. It's been a really shitty year. But the tank is looking very good now. I don't know if anybody remembers my last video, but that Zoa right there was about the size of a quarter. And I just picked up a few new corals yesterday, matter of fact. I got that kryptonite candy cane right there. That Duncan, I just picked him up yesterday, and that little Zoa right there is a Halle Berry Zoa. I picked him up yesterday. I got a couple of A-cans the week before. Just trying to fill in this tank now. You see the rock sculpture is a little different. I do have a NEM in there. You know, 9 months ago I was talking about taking down my NEM tank, and I didn't get it taken down till the week of Thanksgiving. In fact, there's the stand. I moved my room around a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to drill that tank. I don't know if I'm going to turn it into a fowler tank or a freshwater tank, planted tank, cichlid tank. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But as you see, I do have one NEM in here. I wasn't planning on putting a NEM in here. But I had like 200 pounds of rock. So when I decorated the NEM tank, or scaped the NEM tank, I used all the coolest looking rocks. So when I did the scape in this tank, it was all the reject rocks. Well, going through that NEM tank and breaking it down, I found some really cool rocks that I really wanted to use. And one of them had this NEM stuck inside of it. So I actually put him in this tank. Hopefully, if he does get off the rock, or now that I actually know what I'm doing with NEMs, I might keep him in here because he looks beautiful. But I don't know. I just had such bad luck with NEMs before. So as far as equipment goes, wow, I got a lot of things done. You know, the pandemic laid me off of work, but I was getting more on unemployment than I was when I was working. It's not the case right now. In fact, I'm getting half the money if I was working. So I had picked up a couple of Kessel's A360s X and a couple of MP40s, one on each side. I did that back in like April or May, right after I got my income tax check, and then I got the stimulus check, and then I started getting unemployment. So I started doing a few things to this, and one was I ordered a couple more yellow tangs because I had one yellow tang in my NEM tank, and I wanted at least 3 in this tank. And when I was there picking them up, and I put these 2 in quarantine, that powder brown tang was there, and it was half the price of what he is on Live Aquaria. So, you know, the last time I did an impulse buy, it was with that NEM, and that pretty much destroyed that tank. But I couldn't pass him up. He's just gorgeous. but they are very sensitive and very sensitive to ick. Very hard fish to keep. So I couldn't put them in my quarantine tank with the two yellows because my quarantine tank's only 30 gallons and 3 fish would have been way too much, especially the size he is. So I put him in this big tank. Well, he did good for a couple of weeks. Then he started to get ick and starting to pass it along to my other fish. I ended up losing 3 of my baby clowns due to it. A dragon goby I'd bought and a sailfin blenny. Try to help with the algae. Didn't really work. I lost them. So I ended up buying a 40-watt UV sterilizer. And that did the trick. He's been healthy and looking absolutely gorgeous ever since. So, while my wife was in the hospital, I kind of neglected this tank a while. And my alkalinity dropped and my calcium dropped and my corals started to suffer. This guy almost died. He's coming back now. You see the top part of him bleached out. I tried to cut it off. I didn't get all of it. But he's making a comeback. So that may help me decide to... Oh, my little thing is blocking. Oh. So I know this is going to be a little bit longer video. Let me move my fish cart out of the way. And if you guys don't have a rolling fish cart, you need one. So I ended up purchasing an Apex system along with a Trident, and then I got a Tunes ATO. So now I have all this. This helps a lot. Now, you know, my wife still has health issues. I'm taking her to the doctor all the time, and sometimes I don't have time to spend on my tank. And this is pretty much, you know, does everything for me. It helps me with my testing and dosing and everything. I'm going to get one more dose pump to do automatic water changes on this thing. That little box, it's a kind of a funny backstory with that box. I just had some extra, you know, pieces of wood laying around from an old bed that broke. Put together bed. So I saved all that wood just to make shelves out of it one day. So I thought, well, I got that Apex, I need to build a box. Well, to build a box, you need like tools and stuff. So I'm sitting there trying to build this box on my recycling bin, and that didn't work. So I ended up I had a whole bunch of other pieces of wood from different stands I've been building and stuff like that, and decided to build a workbench. Never built a workbench before. I'm not a carpenter. I don't do woods. The only reason why I was able to build these stands and stuff, I mean, to be completely honest with you, I never thought I could even build one. But after watching the King of DIY and using his method, it was super easy. So now I build those, and I decided to take my chances on a workbench. So I bought a table saw. I couldn't use it because I needed it hooked up to a workbench. So I ended up building a workbench just so I could build this box for the Apex. Worked out. There's my UV sterilizer. Sorry, I got a filter on this, so when I'm not next to the tank. I added my skimmer down here from my NEM tank and my carbon and GFO reactor. I added some LED lights in here, as you can probably see them changing colors and stuff like that, just so I can see what I'm doing. I don't have a refrigium in this. I'm going to use this spot right down there. I got a Tunes submersible reef light in there, or a refugium light in there. But since I was dosing this tank with Vibrant, and you can't have Kato in there, it kills it all. So I need to pick up some more Kato. But this is what the tank looks like. I got a little ottoman right here. This is my favorite spot that I just sit here and just stare at the tank. And all my corals are just doing so good. This hammer is looking beautiful and full. I just picked up that gold hammer right there a couple of weeks ago. This little hammer is a cut off a hem that I had put in my work tank. And since I was, took the work tank down because I was getting laid off, I brought it here, and there's a somewhere around here is a coral banded shrimp that I brought from the tank. He's doing good. Oh, I see an antenna over there somewhere. But this thing has just gotten massive. And that Duncan I just picked up yesterday, he's looking phenomenal. Everything else is looking good in this tank. My Blastos are coming back after being terrorized by one of the nems in the nem tank. You can see the scape is different than what it was. I added a lot of rocks from my very first saltwater tank. All these purple rocks came from my 20-gallon tank. So I pulled a lot of the dry rock out that had the algae covered it, and I have it in my sump now. But these other rocks, like this rock right here with the nem was in, he just looked so cool when he was in that other tank. And he was actually laying down, so I stood him up this time. And I kind of enjoy it, so I had to put him in this tank. And when I was taking down that nem tank, I was like, oh, I remember all these cool rocks. I have so many other rocks that I put in other tanks that would have looked cool in here, but I don't want to completely redo this scape. I enjoy this scape. I've had to change it to give fish a little bit more hiding spaces, but oh man, the tank is looking good. It's the only thing that's worked out this year so far is this tank is starting to come around. I think I'm going to add a couple of more fish. Pretty much done with the fish, with the stocking in it. Now I just need to stock up on corals. Kind of hard right now being out of work and being on unemployment. So I don't know how I'm going to be able to pull that off, but little by little, I buy one or two at a time that I can find, little cheap ones and just little single headers, and just hopefully they take off just like that Zoa over there. That pink Zoa right there on the end, when I got him, he had 3 heads on him. And right there, I just got him on Black Friday sale. Oh, there we go. That's the green one right there. That's a Bowser Zoa. And then, like I said yesterday, I picked up the Halle Berry. This guy down here, when I was moving some rocks several months ago out of my nem tank, I found him. He was just a plug. He was buried underneath some rocks and underneath the nem. And so I looked at him. I didn't know if he was going to be alive or not, so I threw him in this tank. And yeah, not only he's alive, but he's thriving. This rock right here, this is my next project. Yo, Sal, get out of the way. Thank you. All these, my diamond gobies just making a mess of this. But this is one large rock, and I'm thinking about fragging these Zoas and trying to create like a canvas for them to grow on and mix, kind of like this rock here, but have it all different colors and stuff like that. So that's my next project. So that's it for an update. Extremely long update. Maybe I'll come out with one in about a week or so, just stating all the different equipment that I've gotten on here. But hey, if you made it this long, thanks for watching, man. I'm sorry it's been so long. I'll try to keep the update coming a lot more often. All right, everybody, peace out and take care and be safe.